Grace and peace be with you. My name is Mark. I'm the pastor at Sycamore Creek in Potterville. I have a brief thought for you today on working together and the power of unity. I'm sharing my brief thought from Galatians chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, which is where I am in my devotions. And at the beginning of Galatians 2, we have an account of Paul's visit to Jerusalem 14 years after his first visit. And 14 years really struck me because that's a long time. Sycamore Creek is just a little over 20 years old. And so that length of time, that's a long time between visits. And Paul he goes on this trip to visit the other apostles. Now, he does that not to verify his gospel, which we've already established is a revelation from God, not a revelation from men. But he goes to Jerusalem to make sure that the apostles and Paul, that they're working together. You see, he doesn't want to run the race in vain. And by that, I think he's referring to causing unnecessary rifts or divisions. But Paul wants unity through the gospel. So he approaches the other apostles privately. And despite pressure in these verses to circumcise Titus, which is what the non-gospel following Judaizers that Paul is writing against wanted, Paul doesn't do that. And the apostles, in turn, extend a hand of friendship to Paul, and they agree. They agree together on the gospel. Now, I'm struck as I read this passage by the unity and by the proclaiming of Jesus, even amid and in spite of differences. It's a beautiful thing that Paul is writing about. And it leads to a question for us today of how are we proclaiming the gospel and pursuing unity through Jesus? How are we recognizing the grace that has been given to us as Paul does in these verses? May we see that, may we know that, may we recognize that grace and peace that comes from Jesus, and may it bring us together. God's grace and peace be with you.